Righty, we're off to Wembley, and probably by the time you're watching this, you already know who is going to be waiting for us if we win in the final. As it stands, I have no idea, and depending on what time you're watching this, I'm probably on my way over there to Wembley as well, and I'm driving, which is first time I've done this where I've drove. I've been driven, and I've got the train, and I've got a bus, and I've stayed over. I've done every different flavour of driving down on the day to Wembley. But the trains were absolutely ridiculous, so I'm driving. I'm sure it'll be a right good old laugh. Right, okay, situationally coming into this then, we're not in good form, are we? Let's be honest. We've won 1 in extra time, we got 3 draws, and we got 1 loss. Right. I think you would also say we'd be unlucky to get through with that absolute thriller that we had, the 4-3 with Liverpool. That was absolutely a little bit of magic of the cup. But since then, we have drawn to Liverpool, Bournemouth and Brentford before losing to Chelsea. United are allowing all sorts of shots on us at the moment. And Coventry, coming from a league where transition is massive, when battle is massive, they're 8th in the championship, which should mean that there's a whole league below us. Nah, it's not that simple. And genuinely think that they could cause United some problems. They're in pretty good shape coming into this. They're in a real solid run since January. At the start of the season, they were firmly in the bottom half of the table, but they've picked it up, they've turned around. Their last 5 has slowed down a little bit. They've got 2 wins and 3 losses. But make no mistakes, this is a massive fixture for both sides. It's history-making potentially for Coventry, but it's also season-defining for Man United. Now, if we manage to get through to the final, we do have a real big opportunity to save face a little bit with how bad this season has been. Now, Onana has weighed in with exactly the sort of attitude that you want to hear from a United player going into the FA Cup semi-final. Said it's exciting. But as I've always said, playing for this beautiful club, you must win. It is a semi-final, of course, and we're going there to win. It's a very good opponent, and this game is going to be tough. But we are United, and we must be ready for them. So, as expected, we're dealing with a right load of injuries. Currently without McTominay, Varane, Lindelof, Martinez, Shaw, Marshall, Malacia. Anthony's a bit of an unknown quantity because of what's going on. It's going to be a rough one, make no mistake. But we still should have enough to get through against Coventry. Now let's have a look at how they play. Coventry used to line up with a very, very different kind of game, setting up with a 3 or a 5 at the back, depending on how the flow of the game went. Now, this season, they've been a little bit different. This is why things have changed for them. They line up now with a 4 at the back, and they drop deeper to accommodate for the sides quite often criticised lack of pace, which is something that United can exploit. Now, the formation fluctuates. It can look like a 4-1-4-1, which again can really be a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. So you're going to basically see all of those 3 formations, dependent on who's in possession, kind of rotated through a little bit while they're playing. Now, they are a strong side, and they're going to be a tough side to play against because they're filled with really strong tacklers. They've got 2 fullbacks who are no different, really, in Bidwell and Van Uyck. And those 2 are going to provide a real strong foundation for them to defend. Van Uyck's in the 86th percentile for defensive duels won compared to others in the same position, for Tier 2 sides last season whilst playing in the Netherlands. So he's not to be messed with. They also aim to box areas in midfield. They've got 2 strong, deep midfielders that are going to fight to win the ball back as soon as the opportunity arises. And if the tackles aren't on, Coventry are more than happy to hunt with interceptions, and they seem to have pretty intelligent midfield positioning as well. Now, you can expect that in the Championship, the passes are going to be a little less accurate than they should be playing against United, so that hopefully takes out one of their major threats, but realistically they can and they will counter quite swiftly. Many have tried before them, and many have succeeded before them as well, so we're going to need to be prepared for it. It will be scrappy, make no mistake, because Coventry thrive in that chaos of the physical battle. If I had to say what a typical Championship side is going to bring to the park, this is them. They're going to be feisty. They'll have a couple of players that probably comfortably could play a little bit higher, and they'll have a couple of players who are really stretching to be at the level that they're currently playing at. But they'll have a lot of players that are extremely comfortable in the chaos that's about to ensue at Wembley. And like we said, it will be scrappy. There's been countless times and moments throughout the season where we've seen Coventry win a loose ball, counter, and get a goal out of absolutely nothing. And if anything we have learnt this season from watching Manchester United, we are capable of losing the ball, being countered, and conceding out of absolutely nowhere. We're really not good in those chaotic moments. We've played a lot in the chaos, but we don't really thrive in them. It's not like United have created chaos in our game to exploit it because we've got wonderful goal-scoring instincts and players that just can't stop scoring. No, it's neither of those things. We're actually on a negative goal difference. Thanks for asking. Do you know what I mean? Going back to them physical sort of battles, that's Coventry's bread and butter. The fullbacks are going to get plenty of license to get forward, much more so now that the team have begun to kind of mesh together, I think. But the work from Coventry's right back with Van Uyck is, which I'm probably not saying correctly, but just roll with it. It doesn't just end there. He sort of formed a bit of a partnership with the right winger, Sakamoto. And they're going to really jump and pump crosses into the box. And they've got a striker, Ellis Sims, who's 6'3". You know how this game's going to play out. I tell you now, I know exactly how this game's going to play out. We will have our work cut out for us, whether it's Magic of the Cup, whether it's... What we're hoping for is that United have just been in these big games on a big pitch just a little bit too often. Ride out the first 15, 20 minutes where it's going to be absolute mayhem, and then see if they can get a bit of an adrenaline dump, get a goal ahead, maybe control the game a little. I know I'm asking a lot here. Maybe control the game a little bit and then see it out. But if I'm Ten Hag, I'm looking at a couple of strategies here. And I'll get into my United strategy in a second. Star man for Coventry will be Ellis Sims. Been a bit of a talisman for him. He's got 17 goals. He's got 3 assists. He is a major outlet for them. He's actually in the 94th percentile for progressive passes received. So he gets on the end of stuff. So he's going to be a big outlet for their pressure, and he is the main outlet for their goals as well. So you've got to watch him. Now, the United 11 that I am going with is pretty much the only United 11 that is available, I think. I guess there's a couple of options in here still, but either way, this is what I would like to go with. So, the back four, this is where the options really are limited. But I'm going with Maguire and Kamwala at centre-half, Dalot and Wan-Bissaka as the full-backs. Midfield's where I want to shake things up. I want to go with Mainu and I want to go with Bruno. And I've been asking this for a while and we're not seeing it. But after that performance of Casemiro last week, if Casemiro starts, that is problematic for Manchester United, I think. So Bruno alongside Mainu and bring Mason Mount in. Let's see Mason Mount start. Bruno deployed that little bit deeper to give a little bit of protection, but then you've got 2 creative outlets in Mount and Bruno that will also give you work rate as well. So I'm looking for a tiny little bit of composure. And to give us that extra little bit of composure as well, I'm putting Ahmad on the right-hand side because I think he deserves an opportunity. And on the left-hand side, well, it's Garnacho, because I've had a bit of a deep dive into the numbers, and do you know what? I know Marcus is playing poorly, and I also think Garnacho's playing a little bit poorly as well. But I think Garnacho, as on the whole of this season, played better than Marcus has, and I think he's got more of a threat in him. But put him back over the left-hand side, and let's see it from there. Up top, obviously it's Højlund because he's the only striker that we've got. But that's how I want to see it. And when I said I want United to be strategic with this, I'm thinking you can bring on a Casemiro. I probably wouldn't, to be honest with you. You could, but I probably wouldn't. But you can bring on the likes of Eriksen. Once you get 1 or hopefully 2 goals up, I'd like to see Christian Eriksen brought on. Maybe even at the expense of a Bruno or someone like that. And let's try and keep the ball. I've picked players in this with Ahmad, with Mount, with Bruno and with Mainu. And people will go, Bruno, like, yeah, when Bruno plays deeper, he's much more effective on the ball. He can keep it. This isn't Scott McTominay coming on where you go, okay, he's not getting on the ball. Bruno will get on the ball, and when he does it in a deeper way, when the play's in front of him, he's actually so much better at doing it. I've picked players that I know can control the ball, a little bit at least, because we haven't really got a lot of that in defence. You've got Wan-Bissaka, Campbell and Maguire. We're not going to see United dominate 80-90 passes each across the back line. So you're going to have to bring some control into the game at some point. Match winner for United, Bruno Fernandes. One of the games that has Bruno written all over it. We're going to need him to create chances. We're going to need his work rate. And we're going to just have to see him performing in this kind of game. And I'll talk about how I see United strategizing this in a second. Now, as always, this preview is brought to you by our friends at Parimatch UK, and we have another exclusive bet boost that you can't get anywhere else. And what I'm going for this game is Bruno and Garnacho to both score. Now, that was 11-2. It is now 13-2, meaning if you're putting a fiver on, you're going to win £37.50 in return if it wins. Now, if you want to get involved with that, all you got to do is click the link in the description. As always, prices are subject to change. You need to be 18 plus to participate, and we all know that football, and especially Manchester United at the moment, are completely unpredictable, so a little bit of fun to enhance your enjoyment of what we hope is going to be an enjoyable game. Once again, it's exclusive to myself and Parimatch UK. Click the link below to get involved, or let me know exactly what you'll be going for in the comments below. And then, how do you beat this Coventry team? Well, you've got the ability for a killer pass, and that's why I've gone with Mount, Ahmad, and Bruno, because there are 3 chance creators there. You can knock down and lock off 1 chance creator. 2 and 3, a lot more difficult to do. And also, I didn't want to play 2 wingers that are both looking to try and run in behind, because Coventry are going to low blockers. So to get through a team that's going to low block, you can't just have people that are trying to dribble into space, because there won't be any space. So it's stupid to try and play 2 wingers that are going to do that. So what we want to see is someone that's going to operate in between the lines, or potentially even 3 players that are going to operate in between the lines and link play and nip play and create overloads through movement and touches. And that's why Ahmad and Mount and Bruno are the 3 to do that. Don't put Højlund and Rashford and Garnacho and Scott McTominay and then wonder why we can't create a fucking sausage, because you've got people who want to get on the end of stuff in behind things. You've got nothing being created. And Casemiro at the moment, I just wouldn't select him, because I don't think he's going to offer a damn thing for us. But you can't play people who are just looking to receive in space behind the defence, because you're not going to receive in behind the defence. And I swear to God, if Ten Hag selects a forward line like that, which he might, and actually it might even be better to select Anthony, because at least he's going to come along the edge of the box and hopefully someone's going to underlap or overlap him, so you might have runners off him. But if you played Rashford, Garnacho and Højlund, if you see that, the writing is on the wall for Ten Hag, because that is a poor decision. You cannot justify playing those. Yes, they have a slow back line. They absolutely do. But they're not going to exploit. They're not going to engage you on the halfway line. They're going to, if they get to the edge of their D, they might be like, steady on a little bit, lads. Let's get back in the box. They're not going to be a high engaging defensive line. They're going to sit back, because you would be dumb to try and do that with the pace that they've got and the profile that they are. They're not going to do that. So if Ten Hag selects a team that's going to look to get in behind, forget it. It's an obviously poor decision, which is probably indefensible, which probably requires someone from Ineos to be like, okay, talk me through this one. Because that is a poor decision. That is not utilising the squad to the best of its capabilities. Now, look, if he doesn't play Bruno in a deep midfield role, I'm not going to criticise that as a question mark, because it's just something I would like to see. And we've got 1 game's worth of evidence of that working. But I've got plenty of evidence that if it's Bruno, Casemiro and Mainu, you're not going to have any level of control in midfield in a game that you should have some control in midfield regardless. And if you play 3 players that are looking to get off the last shoulder against a low block, it's almost like a fundamental misunderstanding of who they are as players and what you're up against, and that's unforgivable. I would expect a Premier League manager, I would expect a Manchester United manager to know better than that. I really would. Secondly, because that went on a bit long, didn't it? Secondly, stay focused, because it's a big occasion. There may only be a goal or 2 at max in it. Coventry will defend and attack with their lives, and they could catch us off guard. If you don't stay focused, they will catch you off guard. And if you let Coventry get a goal, they're really going to defend the box and lock it down like a tank. And suddenly we're the ones that are on edge. And okay, this United team does have an ability to flood forward, and it seems like we're finally getting some goals in us. But do you know what? Wouldn't it be nice to go to Wembley and keep a clean sheet? Because you can. I just don't necessarily know if we're gonna. And there's a cup final waiting for us on the other side. And by the time kickoff happens on Sunday, we will know whether it's Chelsea or City. Now, if it's City, okay, it could go like last year. But if it's Chelsea, I think it'd be a 50-50 who wins that between us and them. Cheers for tuning in. See you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.